Before there were kings and mighty warriors in Israel, there was a shepherd boy. He wasn't trained in battle. He didn't wear armor, but he carried something far greater than any weapon: faith. This is a story of how one boy's courage shook a nation, humbled a giant, and revealed the power of God who fights for those who trust him. This is a story of David and Goliath, the boy who faced a giant. The land of Israel was trembling. On one side of the valley stood the armies of Israel, weary, afraid, uncertain. On the other side, the mighty Philistines, fierce warriors known for their iron weapons and ruthless strength. And leading them was a man who towered above the rest, Goliath of Gath, a giant over 9 feet tall, his armor alone weighing as much as a man. His bronze spear glinted in the sunlight, the iron tip heavy as a sledgehammer. Every morning and evening, he came out and shouted, "Why line up for battle? Choose a man to fight me. If he kills me, we will be your servants. But if I kill him, you will serve us." For 40 days, his voice thundered through the valley, mocking Israel and defying God. And no one dared to answer. Not one soldier moved. Even King Saul, the tallest man in Israel, stayed silent. Miles away, in the hills of Bethlehem, a young shepherd tended his father's sheep. His name was David, the youngest of 8 sons of Jesse. While his brothers fought in Saul's army, David's days were spent among pastures and sheepfolds. But those quiet hills were his training ground. There, he learned to play the harp and sing to God. There, he learned courage, fighting off lions and bears that came after the flock. He wasn't famous. He wasn't tall. He wasn't strong. But he was faithful, and that was enough for God to notice. One day, Jesse sent David to the battlefield to bring food to his brothers and check on them. David arrived just as Goliath stepped forward with his daily challenge. The ground seemed to shake as the giant shouted his taunt once more. David looked around, shocked to see soldiers hiding and trembling. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? He asked. They laughed at him. His oldest brother, Eliab, snapped, "Why did you come here? You just want to watch the battle." But David's eyes burned with conviction. He wasn't there to watch. He was there for a reason. Word spread that a boy was asking questions about the giant, and soon David was brought before King Saul. Saul looked him up and down. A boy, not a soldier. David said with quiet confidence, "Don't let anyone lose heart. I'll go and fight him." Saul blinked. "You? You're only a boy." He's been a warrior since his youth. But David stood firm. "When I was tending my father's sheep, lions and bears came to steal them. I struck them down. The Lord who delivered me from their claws will deliver me from this Philistine." There was something different about this boy, a calm courage born not of pride, but of faith. Saul finally nodded and said, "Go, and the Lord be with you." Saul tried to dress David in his royal armor, bronze helmet, heavy coat, and sword. David could barely move. He smiled gently and said, "I can't wear this. I'm not used to it." He took it off, picked up his shepherd's staff, his sling, and chose 5 smooth stones from a nearby brook. Then he walked toward the valley, one boy against one giant. The armies watched as David stepped into the valley. Goliath's shadow stretched across the ground as he laughed in disbelief. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" he roared. "Come here, and I'll feed your flesh to the birds." But David didn't flinch. He called back, "You come to me with sword and spear, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel whom you have defied." He ran forward. The sling whirled through the air, once, twice, 3 times, and the stone flew. It struck the giant's forehead. The sound echoed through the valley. Goliath staggered, eyes wide, and fell face down to the ground. Silence. Then a roar. The Philistines froze as David ran forward, drew Goliath's own sword, and cut off his head. The boy had slain the giant. Israel erupted in victory. The mighty army of the Philistines fled in terror. David returned with Goliath's head in his hand, and the people cheered his name. King Saul asked, "Whose son are you?" And David answered, "I am the son of your servant Jesse of Bethlehem." In that moment, the shepherd boy became a hero. But God wasn't finished. This was only the beginning of David's story. The giant was just the first of many battles he would face, not all of them with swords. Soon jealousy, betrayal, and trials would test him far more than Goliath ever could. But the same faith that brought him victory in the valley would carry him through every storm ahead. David's story isn't just about courage. It's about faith that sees beyond the fear. He didn't see a giant too big to fight. He saw a God too powerful to lose. While others measured the enemy by his size, David measured him by God's strength, and that changed everything. In your own life, giants will rise. Fear, doubt, temptation, failure. But David's story reminds us that no giant is greater than a God who stands beside you. When you step forward with faith, heaven moves on your behalf. When you face your battles with trust, you're never fighting alone. So take your sling, take your stone, and face your giants in the name of the Lord. Because sometimes all it takes to change history is one small step of faith. This was the story of David, the boy who faced a giant, but his greatest battles were yet to come. Subscribe and stay tuned as we uncover the rise, the fall, and the redemption of the man after God's own heart. Only on WordHeroes.